The housekeeper finds a photo of herself in her boss's office, and what she discovers. Jasmine Brooks was finishing up the cleaning when the cloth slipped from her hand and knocked over a black folder that was always kept shut in the bottom drawer. Papers scattered across the hardwood floor, and when she bent down to gather everything up, her heart stopped. Among yellow documents was a photograph of a little girl wearing a flowery dress, sitting on a park bench. The girl had braids and was holding a chocolate ice cream cone. That little girl was her. Jasmine picked up the photo with trembling hands. How was this possible? The image was at least 20 years old. She recognized that dress because it was the only one she had back then before everything changed, before she woke up one day and had no one left. She flipped the photo over and saw a date written in pencil, July 2003. She was 8 years old when that picture was taken. "What are you doing, Doctor?" Tyler Evans's voice made her jump. Jasmine looked up and saw him standing in the doorway of the office. Dark suit, immaculate, but with an expression she had never seen on his face before. It wasn't anger. It was something different. Panic, maybe. The folder fell. Jasmine tried to explain, but her voice came out weak. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." Tyler's eyes dropped to the photograph she was holding. He stood completely still, as if he had turned into a statue. Jasmine saw his throat move as he swallowed hard. "Give me that," he said, taking a step toward her. Jasmine jumped to her feet, the photo still in her hand. Her instinct screamed at her to get out of there. Why did he have a photo of her as a child? How had he gotten it? She had only been working in that house for 3 months. "Why do you have this?" Jasmine asked, her voice rising a notch. "Why do you have a picture of me?" "Jasmine, I can explain." Tyler raised his hands, but she was already backing away. "Stay away from me!" She ran. Past him, down the long hallway, down the stairs, nearly tripping. She heard Tyler calling her name, but she didn't stop. She had to get out of that house. Her heart was pounding so hard it hurt. She grabbed the purse she always kept hanging in the kitchen and went out through the back door. The streets of Chicago were crowded at that time of the afternoon. Jasmine walked fast, not knowing where to go. The photo was still in her hand. She looked at that little girl smiling and felt like crying. Who had taken that picture? Why did her boss have it? 1,000 terrible thoughts ran through her head. When she reached the bus stop, Jasmine finally stopped. Her legs were shaking. She sat down on the hot metal bench and looked at the photo again. That park was Millennium Park. She remembered that day because the woman from the foster care home had taken all the kids on a special outing. It was one of the few happy days she had back then. The bus arrived, but Jasmine didn't get on. She stayed sitting there while the sun began to set. She needed to think. She needed to understand what was happening. Was Tyler some kind of strange person? But he had always been so respectful. He never looked at her differently, never made inappropriate comments. He was polite, reserved, even a little sad sometimes. Jasmine pulled out her phone and thought about calling Tasha, her only real friend. But what would she say? That she found a picture of herself in her boss's office and ran away. Tasha would think she was losing her mind. Or worse, she'd tell her to go to the police. But what if it was nothing? What if there was an explanation? She looked at the photo one more time. On the back, besides the date, there was something else written. Jasmine squinted. It was a single word, almost faded with time. Jazzy. Her blood ran cold. No one called her that. No one except... Jasmine squeezed her eyes shut, trying to remember. There was someone who called her that when she was very little, before the foster care home, but she couldn't see the face. It was just a feeling, a memory that seemed more like a dream. When she opened her eyes, the sky was already orange. Jasmine put the photo in her purse and finally caught the bus. She needed to get home, to the small apartment she shared with Maya, her 16-year-old daughter. Maya was going to be worried because she always arrived at the same time. The apartment was in Bridgeport, an old 3-story building with no elevator. Jasmine climbed the stairs slowly, her legs still feeling weak. When she opened the door, Maya was sitting on the couch doing homework. "Mom!" The girl jumped up. "What time is this? You're never late. Did something happen?" Jasmine looked at her daughter. Maya had big, curious eyes, her hair tied up in a high ponytail. She was everything Jasmine had in the world, everything that mattered. "I had a problem at work," Jasmine said, trying to keep her voice steady. "What kind of problem?" "Nothing big, just a mix-up. I'll sort it out tomorrow." Maya narrowed her eyes. She knew her mother too well. "You look scared." "I'm just tired, sweetheart." "Come on, get back to your homework. I'm going to take a shower." Jasmine locked herself in the tiny bathroom and turned on the faucet. She took the photo out of her purse and set it on the sink. She looked at that little girl again and then raised her eyes to the mirror. The face she saw was 32 years old, tired from sleepless nights and heavy work days. But the eyes were the same, and the smile, when she smiled, was too. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, feel free to leave a like, and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us, who are just starting out. Now, continuing. Jasmine didn't sleep that night. She lay staring at the ceiling of the room, listening to Maya's calm breathing on the bottom bunk. Her mind wouldn't stop. How had Tyler gotten that photo? Did he know something about her past? Jasmine had grown up in the foster care home without knowing anything about her family. They said she was left there when she was 6 years old, but she didn't remember anything from before that. It was as if her memory had been erased. When the sun rose, Jasmine had already made up her mind. She was going back to that house and demanding answers. She couldn't just run away and pretend nothing had happened. She needed to know the truth, even if it hurt. She left Maya sleeping and went out early. She caught 2 buses to the Gold Coast, where Tyler's house was, a modern building with a black gate and a well-kept garden. Jasmine had the keys because she was responsible for the cleaning Monday through Friday. But that Saturday morning, she rang the doorbell. Tyler opened the door still in his sleepwear, sweatpants and a white t-shirt. He had dark circles under his eyes, as if he hadn't slept either. "Jasmine," he said, and there was relief in his voice. "You came back." "I need answers," Jasmine said firmly, stepping inside without being invited. "Now." Tyler closed the door and ran a hand through his messy hair. "I know. You have every right. I should have told you before, but I didn't know how." "Told me what?" Jasmine crossed her arms. "Why do you have a picture of me when I was a kid? How did you get this?" Tyler took a deep breath. He seemed to be gathering courage. "It's not just one photo," he said quietly. "There's more." "More?" He gestured for her to follow him. They went to the study, the same place where everything had started the day before. Tyler opened a cabinet that was locked on the wall. Inside was a cardboard box. Jasmine felt her stomach turn when he placed the box on the desk. With careful hands, Tyler opened the lid. Inside were dozens of photographs, all of her. At different ages, different places. Jasmine at 10 years old entering the foster care home. Jasmine at 12, 13, 15. Jasmine pregnant with Maya. Jasmine holding a baby in her arms. Recent photos of her going to work. Jasmine's legs gave out, and she had to steady herself against the chair. "What is this?" Her voice came out in a trembling whisper. You followed me all these years?" "Jasmine, it's not what you think." Tyler took a step toward her, but Jasmine raised her hand. "Stay away. What is this? Are you some kind of sick person? Have you been stalking me?" "No." Tyler had tears in his eyes now. "I was looking for you. I needed to know if you were okay. I needed to—" "Why?" Jasmine shouted. "Who do you think you are?" "Your brother." Tyler's voice broke. "I'm your brother, Jasmine. I'm Tyler. Ty, the one you used to call Cello. Don't you remember me?" The world stopped. Jasmine stood completely still, processing those words. Brother. Tyler was her brother. She had a brother and she didn't know it. "No," she shook her head. "That doesn't make sense. I don't have a family. I grew up alone." "Because they took you away from me." Tyler wiped his tears with the back of his hand. Our parents separated when you were 5 and I was 10. There was an ugly custody battle. Dad lost and got angry. One night he took you and ran. Mum tried to find you, searched for years, but he had changed your name. Registered you as his daughter only, erased any connection to me and Mum. Jasmine felt her own tears start to fall. This can't be true. It is true. Tyler pulled a folder out of the box. I have proof, documents, certificates. When you were 6, Dad left you at the foster care home and disappeared. Mum only found out years later, but when she went to get you, you already had a different name, Jasmine Brooks. Your real name is Jasmine Evans. You're my sister, Jazzy. That nickname. Jasmine remembered now. She remembered an older boy carrying her on his back. She remembered laughter and feeling safe. But then everything went dark and confused. Mom, Jasmine whispered. Our mom? Tyler's face closed in deep sorrow. She passed away 3 years ago. She spent her whole life looking for you. I promised her I would continue, that I would find you and bring you back to the family. Jasmine sat down on the floor, unable to stand anymore. She had a brother. She had had a mother who searched for her. Her whole life she had believed that no one wanted her, that she was abandoned because she wasn't good enough. And now she discovered she had been stolen. Why didn't you tell me? Jasmine asked between sobs. When I started working here, you already knew who I was. Why didn't you say anything? Tyler knelt down beside her. Because I didn't know how you would react. You needed the job, you had a daughter to take care of. I was afraid I'd scare you off and you'd run away again. I thought if you worked here I could get to know you better, find the right moment to tell you, but there was never a right moment, and the more time passed, the harder it got. Jasmine looked at the man beside her. Now that she knew, she could see it. The same eyes, the same curve of the nose. How hadn't she noticed before? I remember you, she said softly. I remember a boy who used to give me chocolate ice cream cones in secret, who taught me how to tie my shoes. You said you would always protect me. And I failed. Tyler covered his face with his hands. I was too young. I couldn't protect you when Dad took you. I spent my whole life feeling guilty. Jasmine didn't know what to feel. It was too much information at once. Anger, confusion, sadness, relief. All together, mixed up, too heavy to process. I need time, she got up with difficulty. I need to think. Jasmine, please don't leave again. Let me show you the proof. Let me tell you about Mom, about our family. No. Jasmine shook her head. Not now. It's too much. I need time. She left the office, walked through the house, and stopped at the door. She turned around one last time to look at Tyler, who had followed her. That explains a lot, Jasmine said. You were always so kind to me. You never treated me like just a housekeeper. I always thought that was strange. Because you were never just a housekeeper, Tyler said. You're my sister. You're the only family I have left. Jasmine nodded slowly and left. The ride home was a blur. She cried so much on the bus that people started staring. She didn't care. How had her life turned upside down in less than 24 hours? When she got home, Maya was eating cereal in front of the TV. Mom! She turned off the TV as soon as she saw her mother's face. What happened? You're crying. Jasmine sat on the couch and told her everything, every detail from the folder that fell to Tyler's confession. Maya listened in silence, her eyes getting wider and wider. So you have a brother? She asked when Jasmine finished. And we have a family? I don't know what we have, Jasmine rubbed her face. I need to process this. I need to decide what to do. But Mom, this is amazing. You always said you grew up alone. Now you have someone, a brother who's been looking for you all these years. He followed me, Maya. He took pictures of me without me knowing. That's weird. He was trying to find you, Maya argued. He wanted to make sure it was you. And when he found out, he gave you a job. He helped you. Jasmine knew her daughter was right, but it was still hard to accept. She had spent her whole life building walls around her heart to protect herself, and now those walls were cracking. The following days were strange. Jasmine didn't go back to work at Tyler's house. He sent messages asking to talk, but she didn't respond. She needed space to think. Maya, on the other hand, was excited about the discovery. She had an uncle. She had family beyond her mother. "You need to at least hear what he has to say," Maya insisted. "See the proof he has. Learn your real story." "What if it's a lie?" Jasmine argued. "What if it's all made up?" "Why would he make that up?" Maya asked. "What kind of person would do something like that?" Jasmine had no answer for that. In fact, deep down, she knew Tyler was telling the truth. Her heart recognized that connection, even if her mind was still resisting. It was Maya who ended up making the decision. One afternoon, she grabbed Jasmine's phone and replied to one of Tyler's messages, saying they would visit him the following Sunday. "Maya!" Jasmine was furious. "You had no right. Someone had to do something." The girl crossed her arms. "You're scared and I get it, but you can't let fear keep you from learning the truth." Jasmine wanted to fight, but she looked at her daughter and saw a determination that reminded her of herself. Maya was right. She needed to face this. She needed to know the whole truth, no matter how much it hurt. On Sunday, they went together to Tyler's house. Jasmine was squeezing Maya's hand so hard the girl complained. When Tyler opened the door, he looked nervous. He invited them in and offered coffee, cake, juice, trying to make them feel comfortable. "Thanks for coming," he said as they sat down in the living room. "I know this is hard." "My mom wants to see the proof." Maya got straight to the point. "She needs to be sure." Tyler nodded and picked up a thick folder that was on the coffee table. He opened it carefully and began showing documents. Jasmine's birth certificate with a different name, old photos of their parents together, divorce papers, reports from private investigators their mother had hired. Jasmine took each document with trembling hands. There was her story in pieces of yellowed paper. Jasmine Evans, born in Chicago, daughter of Gregory Brooks and Catherine Evans. Tyler Evans's sister. "Mom never gave up," Tyler said while Jasmine looked at the photos. "She spent everything she had looking for you. When she finally found out about the foster care home, you had already been temporarily adopted by a family, then returned. Your name had been changed 3 times. It was like you had vanished." "How did you manage to find me?" Jasmine asked, still looking at a photo of her mother. A beautiful woman with a sad smile. "An investigator found your real name in the foster care home records when you turned 18, but by then you were already living somewhere else, working. I followed you for years, always from afar, trying to gather the courage to talk to you. When I saw that you'd been looking for work for 3 months, I talked to the person in charge of hiring and asked them to give you a chance." "You manipulated the situation," Jasmine pointed out. "Yes," Tyler admitted, "but not to hurt you. I just wanted you close. I wanted to meet the woman you'd become, and I was proud of what I saw. You're strong, hard-working, a great mother. You survived everything and still managed to build a life." Jasmine felt the tears welling up again. She looked at Maya, who was also crying. "Grandma looked for me," the little girl asked softly. "She did," Tyler confirmed. "Until her last day, she made me promise I wouldn't give up, that I'd find Jasmine and tell her she was always loved." Those words broke something inside Jasmine. Always loved. She had spent so many years feeling discarded, unwanted. And now she discovered there was someone who never stopped searching for her. "I want to show you something." Tyler stood up and walked over to a cabinet. He came back with a small wooden box. "Mom left this for you. She always believed that one day I'd find you." Jasmine opened the box with trembling hands. Inside was a gold necklace with a heart-shaped pendant, some antique rings and a letter. Jasmine picked up the letter and unfolded the thin paper. "My dear Jazzy, if you're reading this, it means Tyler managed to find you. I wanted so badly to be there to hold you, to ask forgiveness for not being able to protect you when you needed it most. I know you grew up without me, without knowing you had a family that loved you more than anything. But I never stopped thinking about you for a single day. I never stopped searching. I hope you don't hold anger against me for failing. I tried everything, but your father was smarter, faster. When I finally found you, You had already grown so much that I was afraid of showing up in your life and messing everything up. But Tyler promised he'd tell you the truth when the time was right. This necklace belonged to your grandmother, my mother. She wanted you to have it. Inside the pendant, there's a small photo of the two of us when you were 3 years old. Keep it close to your heart, my love. You were always strong, always special. I'm sure you became an incredible woman. Forgive your mother for not being by your side. But know that I was always in your heart, even without you knowing. With all the love in the world, Mommy Catherine. Jasmine finished reading with her face wet with tears. She opened the necklace pendant, and there it was, tiny, a photo of her as a baby in the arms of a smiling woman. Her mother, the mother she never knew but who never gave up on her. She loved you so much, Tyler said softly. At the end, when she was already very sick, all she talked about was you. She asked if I'd found you. I lied and said yes, so she could leave in peace. I promised I'd take care of you. Jasmine looked at her brother and finally allowed the truth to fully sink in. He was her family, her only family left, and he had kept the promise he made to their mother. I don't know how to be a sister, Jasmine admitted. I spent my whole life alone. We'll learn together, Tyler smiled for the first time. Whatever works, no rush. Maya, who had stayed quiet listening to everything, finally spoke up. Does this mean I have a real uncle? You do, Tyler looked at the girl, and I'd love to get to know my niece better if you'll let me. It was a start, small, fragile, but a start. Jasmine agreed to come back the following week to talk more. Tyler had years of stories to tell, memories of their childhood together, stories about their mother, and Jasmine needed to hear all of it. In the following weeks, Jasmine and Maya started visiting Tyler regularly. He told stories and showed more photos. Jasmine was remembering small details, fragments of memory that had stayed hidden. Each visit brought a new revelation, a new layer of the story she hadn't known. It was during one of those visits, a month after the initial revelation, that everything changed again. Jasmine and Maya had gone to dinner at Tyler's house when a woman walked through the door. She was tall, blonde, impeccably dressed. Her face was perfectly made up, but her eyes were cold. Tyler, you didn't tell me we'd have guests, the woman said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Victoria, Tyler stood up quickly. You came back early from your trip. Jasmine recognized the name. Victoria was Tyler's wife. He had mentioned she traveled a lot for work and was rarely home. Jasmine had never met her during her months working there. Who are they? Victoria asked, looking at Jasmine and Maya with curiosity. This is Jasmine, Tyler began, but Victoria interrupted him. Oh, the housekeeper, she waved her hand. Tyler, why are you having dinner with the housekeeper? She's not just the housekeeper, Tyler said firmly. She's my sister. Victoria's smile faltered for a second, but she quickly recomposed it. Your sister? She feigned surprise. The sister you were looking for? My God, what an incredible coincidence. She was working here all this time and you didn't know. There was something in Victoria's voice that didn't sound right. Jasmine felt a chill down her spine. Yeah, Tyler said slowly, looking at his wife strangely. A coincidence. Well, this is simply wonderful. Victoria sat down in the empty chair. Tell me everything. How did you find out? Jasmine exchanged a look with Tyler. He seemed uncomfortable, but began telling the story in a summarized way. Victoria listened attentively, asking questions, seeming fascinated, but there was something in her eyes that Jasmine couldn't decipher. The dinner became tense after Victoria's arrival. She dominated the conversation, talking about her trip, about business, asking invasive questions about Jasmine's past. When Jasmine and Maya finally left, Jasmine was sure of one thing. Victoria hadn't liked finding them there. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, go ahead and leave a like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. Jasmine didn't go back to visit Tyler for a few days. Something about that encounter left her uneasy. Victoria had been too polite, too interested. It didn't seem genuine, but Jasmine didn't know if she was being paranoid or if there was really reason to worry. It was Tyler who called a week later, asking to talk. His voice sounded strange on the phone, tired. They arranged to meet at a small cafe near downtown. Jasmine went alone, asking Maya to stay home. When she arrived, Tyler was already waiting. He looked different. There was a tension in his shoulders that hadn't been there before. "Thanks for coming," he said when Jasmine sat down. "What happened?" Jasmine asked directly. "You seem off." Tyler stirred his coffee without drinking. "I need to tell you something. About Victoria. About how you came to work at my house." Jasmine felt her stomach tighten. "What is it?" "It wasn't a coincidence." Tyler looked up at her. "Victoria knew who you were before she hired you." The world seemed to tilt sideways. "What?" "I hired an investigator about 4 years ago to keep looking for you," Tyler explained. "When he finally found you, I stayed watching from a distance, trying to decide how to approach you. Victoria found out. She saw the investigator's reports, saw the photos, and she had an idea." "What kind of idea?" Jasmine asked, her voice low. "She was the one who suggested hiring you. Said it would be a way for me to get to know you better before revealing the truth. It made sense at the time, but now I found out why she really did it." Tyler picked up a folder that was on the seat next to him and placed it on the table. Inside were papers, printed emails, messages. "Victoria was blackmailing me," he said, his voice heavy with sadness and anger. "She threatened to tell you about me before I was ready. Said she'd make it look like I was some kind of stalker, that she'd ruin any chance of reconciliation. And in exchange, she wanted me to transfer half of my assets into her name." Jasmine was speechless. She looked at the documents, at the messages where Victoria made her threats perfectly clear. She had planned everything. She had used the situation to gain leverage. "Why didn't you tell me before?" Jasmine asked. "Because I was ashamed," Tyler admitted. "And because at first I really thought she was trying to help. It was only recently that I found out the truth. I found those emails on her computer. She was talking to a lawyer about how to secure an asset division in case of divorce. She was planning to leave you." Jasmine processed the information. "Eventually, yes, but only after making sure she'd take half of everything. She used you, Jasmine, used our situation for her own gain." Jasmine felt anger rising inside her. She had been manipulated. Her story, her pain, had been used as a tool for blackmail. "What are you going to do?" she asked. "I've already filed for divorce," Tyler said. "I want nothing more to do with her, but she won't accept it easily. Knowing Victoria, she'll try to make this ugly." "She might try to use me again," Jasmine realized. "Might try to make it seem like there's something wrong between us." "Exactly," Tyler agreed. "That's why I needed to warn you. Anything she says, any story she makes up, it's not true. I just wanted to find you. I wanted to have my sister back." Jasmine took her brother's hand across the table. "I believe you, and we'll face this together, right? That's what siblings do." Tyler smiled, and for the first time in days he seemed relieved, but Jasmine underestimated how far Victoria was willing to go. 2 days after that conversation, Jasmine was at the market with Maya when her phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Hello? Jasmine?" It was a woman's voice she didn't recognize. "My name is Miss Sterling. I'm Victoria Miller Evans's lawyer. I need you to come to my office tomorrow for a conversation." "About what?" Jasmine asked, already feeling the tension creep back. "About your alleged relationship with Dr. Tyler Evans. There are some matters we need to clarify." "Alleged relationship," Jasmine repeated, her voice rising. "He's my brother." "That's exactly what we need to talk about," the lawyer said calmly. "Can you come tomorrow at 10? Jasmine wanted to refuse, but she knew that would only make things worse. "I'll be there," she said through gritted teeth and hung up. "What's wrong?" Maya asked, seeing her mother's face. "Your uncle's wife is trying to cause trouble," Jasmine explained. "She sent her lawyer to summon me." "Can she do that?" Maya was outraged. "Apparently she can," Jasmine sighed, "but I'm not going to let her intimidate me." The next day, Jasmine went to the lawyer's office. It was an elegant place downtown, all glass and steel. The receptionist led her to a conference room where 2 women were waiting. One was Victoria. beautiful as always, but with a hard expression. The other was an older woman in a grey suit, presumably the lawyer. "Jasmine, thank you for coming," the lawyer said, pointing to a chair. "Please, have a seat." Jasmine sat, keeping her back straight. She wasn't going to show weakness. "What is this about?" she asked directly. "My client is concerned about certain irregularities," the lawyer began. "Dr. Evans claims you are his sister, but there's no concrete proof of that. No kinship test has been done. And yet he's willing to transfer properties and assets to you." "He's not transferring anything to me," Jasmine said firmly, "and there is proof. Documents, photos, records. Records that can be forged." Victoria spoke for the first time. "I'm sorry, Jasmine, but this is all very convenient. You show up out of nowhere, work in our house for 3 months, and suddenly you're my husband's long-lost sister. A sister who's going to inherit half of everything we built together." Jasmine felt her blood boil. "I don't want anything from your husband besides having my brother back. You're the one trying to steal from him." "Steal?" Victoria feigned offense. "I've been his wife for 8 years. Everything he has we built together." "You know that's not true," Jasmine stood up. "You're trying to intimidate me, but it won't work. Tyler is my brother. I have proof, and if necessary, we'll do the kinship test. But I'm not going to let you destroy what we finally managed to rebuild." "Oh, how touching," Victoria said sarcastically. "The poor little sister defending her rich brother. I'm sure it has nothing to do with his money." Jasmine took a step toward Victoria, but caught herself. She wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing her lose control. "You can keep thinking whatever you want," Jasmine said calmly, "but the truth will come out, and when it does, you'll end up with nothing." She left the room without waiting for a response. Her hands trembled with anger as she waited for the elevator. How dare Victoria question her identity? How dare she insinuate that Jasmine was after money? Jasmine called Tyler as soon as she left the building and told him everything that had happened. He was furious. "She has no right to talk to you like that," he said. "I'm going to talk to my lawyer. We'll do the kinship test today to put an end to these ridiculous accusations." "Do you really think we need to?" Jasmine asked. "We know the truth. We need it to shut her up," Tyler said firmly. "And to protect you, I'm not going to let Victoria defame you or question your identity." The test was done that same afternoon. Jasmine and Tyler went to a private clinic where they collected DNA samples. The results would come out in a week that felt like an eternity to Jasmine. During that time, Victoria intensified her attacks. She began spreading rumors among Tyler's acquaintances, suggesting that Jasmine was a gold digger manipulating a lonely man, that she had forged documents and invented a sad story to gain access to the family fortune. Jasmine tried to ignore it, but it was hard, especially when she started getting strange looks from people in the neighborhood where Tyler lived. Once, when she went to visit her brother, one of the neighbors stopped her and asked if it was true that she was trying to steal the legitimate inheritance of Dr. Evans's wife. "That's not what's happening at all," Jasmine tried to explain, but the neighbor had already walked away, shaking his head in disapproval. Maya also started suffering because of the situation. At school, some classmates made comments after hearing their parents talk about the scandal. They said her mother was a liar, that she was trying to take advantage of a rich man. "Don't listen to them," Jasmine said, hugging her daughter when she came home crying. "They don't know the truth." "But everyone is believing her," Maya sobbed. "Why do people believe her word more than ours?" "Because she has money and influence," Jasmine said bitterly, "and we don't. But that's going to change when the test results come in." Finally, after a week that felt like a month, the results arrived. Jasmine was at Tyler's house when he opened the envelope. His hands were trembling so much he almost tore the paper. "What does it say?" Jasmine asked, her heart pounding so hard it hurt. Tyler looked up, and there were tears in his eyes. "Probability of first-degree kinship 99.9%, he read. "Jasmine, it's official. You're my sister." Jasmine burst into tears. Not that she had any doubts, but seeing it there in black and white, confirmed by science, made everything feel even more real. Maya, who was with them, screamed with joy and hugged them both. "Now she can't say anything anymore," the girl said. "We have proof." Tyler immediately sent a copy of the results to his lawyer, who in turn sent it to Victoria's lawyer. The response came quickly. Victoria was contesting the validity of the test, saying it could have been tampered with. "Does she never give up?" Jasmine asked, exhausted. "She's desperate," Tyler explained. "She knows she's losing, that's why she's trying everything." But Victoria still had an ace up her sleeve. 2 days after the test results, she showed up at Jasmine's house. Maya was at school and Jasmine was getting ready to leave when she heard the doorbell ring. When she opened the door and saw Victoria standing there, her first reaction was to slam the door in her face. But something in the woman's expression made her hesitate. "I didn't come to fight," Victoria said quickly. "I came to talk. Please, give me 5 minutes." Jasmine considered it for a moment and then opened the door wider, letting Victoria in. The woman looked around the small apartment with an expression Jasmine couldn't decipher. Pity? Contempt? Hard to tell. "What do you want?" Jasmine asked, crossing her arms. "I want to make a deal," Victoria said, sitting on the couch uninvited. "Look, I know you and Tyler really are siblings. The test proved that. But that doesn't change the fact that I've been his wife for 8 years. I have rights." "Rights to what?" Jasmine asked. "You were blackmailing him." "That was strategy." Victoria waved her hand as if it were insignificant. "Tyler is a difficult man. Sometimes he needs motivation to do the right thing. Blackmail isn't motivation. It's a crime. Call it whatever you want." Victoria shrugged. "But here's the situation. If this goes to divorce court, it's going to be ugly and expensive for everyone. I'll fight for every penny. I'll make allegations about his mental capacity, about how you manipulated him. I might not win, but I'll make both of your lives a living hell through the process." "Then why are you here?" Jasmine asked. "Because I have a better proposal." Victoria leaned forward. "You convinced Tyler to give me 40% of his assets, amicably. In exchange, I sign the divorce papers without a fuss and walk out of your lives forever. Simple as that." Jasmine couldn't believe the audacity of that woman. "You're trying to use me again to blackmail my brother." "It's not blackmail. It's business." Victoria smiled. "Think about it, Jasmine. You don't want this dragging on for years in the courts. You want to have your family in peace. I'm offering that to you. It's a good deal." "Get out of my house," Jasmine said calmly. "Don't be foolish," Victoria argued. "Think about your daughter, about how this will affect her, the comments at school, the gossip. This can all end today if you're smart." "I told you to leave," Jasmine repeated, this time louder, "and if you come back here, I'll call the police." Victoria stood up slowly, grabbing her designer handbag. "You're making a mistake," she said at the door. "But that's fine. When you change your mind, and you will, you have my number." Jasmine slammed the door as soon as Victoria left. Her legs were shaking. She sat on the hallway floor and put her head between her knees, trying to steady her breathing. How could that woman get her so worked up? When Maya got home from school, Jasmine told her about the visit. The girl was furious. "She can't do this," Maya shouted. "She can't come here and threaten you." "She can, and she did," Jasmine said wearily. "But I'm not giving in. I won't let her use our family to make money." "We need to tell Uncle Tyler," Maya said. "We will," Jasmine agreed. "But tomorrow. Today I just want to rest." But there was no rest. That night, Jasmine got a call from Tyler. His voice sounded strange, tense. "Jasmine, you need to come here. Now." "What happened?" "Just come, please. It's important." Jasmine hailed a taxi, her heart racing. When she arrived at Tyler's house, the door was open. She walked in slowly, calling out for her brother. "I'm in the living room," he replied. Jasmine found Tyler sitting on the couch, holding a piece of paper. There was an older man with him, someone she didn't know. "This is Arthur," Tyler introduced. "He was the butler here until 2 years ago." Jasmine looked at the man, confused. He was brown-skinned with grey hair, in his mid-60s, and he looked uncomfortable. "What's going on?" she asked. "Arthur came to tell me something important," Tyler explained. "Something about how you were hired to work here." Jasmine sat down slowly, sensing she wasn't going to like what came next. "Miss Jasmine," Arthur began, his voice low, "I resigned from this house 2 years ago because I didn't agree with what was going on. But when I learned that Dr. Evans was getting a divorce, I felt it was my duty to tell the truth." What truth? Jasmine asked. About Mrs. Evans. I overheard conversations she had, planning everything. When Dr. Evans found out about you through the private investigator, Mrs. Evans found out too, and she saw an opportunity there. Jasmine exchanged a look with Tyler. Go on, she said. She planned to hire you, yes, but not just to blackmail Dr. Evans. Arthur hesitated. She wanted you and him to grow close, to develop a bond, and then, at the right moment, she was going to use it against him. She'd say you had an inappropriate relationship, that you were taking advantage of him, that he was mentally unstable, all to justify a larger split of the assets. Jasmine felt nauseous. But we're siblings. The test proved it. She planned to challenge the test, claim it was tampered with, Arthur explained, or that even being siblings, something inappropriate was happening. Mrs. Evans is very smart. She knew that just the suggestion of something wrong would be enough to tarnish Dr. Evans's reputation and yours. Do you have proof of this? Tyler asked, his voice hard. I have recordings, Arthur said, pulling an old cell phone from his pocket. I recorded some of her conversations with her lawyer. At the time, I thought I might need to protect myself in case she tried to involve me in something. I never used them because I quit before things went too far. But now I think you need this. Tyler took the phone and pressed play. Victoria's voice came out loud and clear through the speakers. It doesn't matter if the test proves they're siblings. What matters is appearances. A young, pretty maid, a lonely boss. It's easy to plant a seed of doubt. And when the doubt is there, I'll have what I need to secure my share. Jasmine listened to the entire recording with her hands over her mouth. Victoria had planned everything down to the smallest detail. She had manipulated the situation from the start, not out of love or jealousy, but out of pure greed. She's diabolical, Jasmine whispered when the recording ended. She's ambitious, Tyler corrected, his voice icy. But she made the mistake of underestimating the two of us. He looked at Arthur. Are you willing to testify about this, to hand these recordings over to my lawyer? Yes, sir, Arthur nodded. That's why I came. What she did isn't right. Tyler shook the older man's hand with gratitude. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, go ahead and leave a like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. With Arthur's recordings, the divorce case took a completely different turn. Tyler's lawyer presented the evidence in court, showing that Victoria had planned the blackmail from the start, that she had consciously manipulated the situation for personal gain. Victoria tried to argue that the recordings were illegal, that they had been taken without her consent, but the judge ruled that, given the context of blackmail and manipulation, the evidence was admissible. The divorce proceedings got uglier and uglier. Victoria hired a team of expensive lawyers and started making increasingly absurd allegations. She said Tyler had mental issues, that he was being manipulated by Jasmine, that the DNA test was fake. She's desperate, Tyler's lawyer explained during a meeting. She's throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks, but there's nothing concrete. The facts are on our side. How long is this going to take? Jasmine asked. She was tired of all of it, tired of the hearings, the testimonies, the judgmental looks. A few more months, the lawyer admitted. But we're going to win. There's no doubt about that. During that difficult period, something unexpected happened. Jasmine and Tyler grew closer. The adversity they faced together forced them to truly get to know each other. They started having weekly lunches where they shared stories from the past, childhood memories each of them held on to. Tyler talked about their mother, about how she was sweet and strong at the same time, how she made chocolate cake every Sunday and sang while she cooked. Jasmine listened to every word closely, storing those memories like treasures. She would have loved meeting Maya, Tyler said one afternoon. She would have spoiled her terribly. Maya would have loved having a grandmother, Jasmine replied sadly. She always wanted family beyond just me. She has that now, Tyler smiled. She has an uncle who would do anything for her. And it was true. Tyler had become a constant presence in Maya's life. He helped her with homework, went to her school volleyball games, gave her advice when she needed it. For the first time in her life, Maya had a positive male role model. It was Maya who finally broke the last emotional barrier between Jasmine and Tyler. During a dinner, she suddenly asked, "Uncle Tyler, do you blame Mum for you two being separated?" The question caught everyone by surprise. Tyler set down his fork and looked at Jasmine, then at Maya. "Never," he said firmly. "Why would you think that?" "Because sometimes Mom acts like she did something wrong," Maya explained. "Like she doesn't deserve to have you as a brother." Jasmine felt the tears coming. She didn't know Maya had noticed that. "Jasmine," Tyler held her hand across the table. "Look at me. Nothing that happened was your fault. You were a child. We were both victims of our parents' selfishness. But now, we have a choice. We can let the past define us, or we can build a better future. Together." "I want to build a better future," Jasmine said, her voice choked with emotion. "But sometimes it's hard to believe I deserve to have that, to have a family." "You deserve it," Tyler insisted. "And it's not just about having. You give too. You brought me back to life, Jasmine. I was so alone, so lost. And now I have you and Maya. I have a family again." It was a moment of deep healing. There, at that simple table, the broken pieces of two lives began to come together more completely. Meanwhile, the divorce process was reaching its final stages. The decisive hearing was set for a Tuesday morning. Jasmine went along with Tyler, wanting to support her brother. Maya wanted to go too, but Jasmine thought it was better for her to stay in school. The courtroom was packed. Victoria arrived with her team of lawyers, dressed impeccably, confident. She looked at Jasmine with a small smile that felt more like a threat. The judge entered and everyone stood. He was a middle-aged man, grey-haired, with a serious expression. He began by reviewing the case, the arguments from both sides. "This is an unusual situation," the judge said finally. "We have serious allegations of blackmail and manipulation on one side, and on the other, challenges regarding mental capacity and inappropriate relationships. Let's begin by hearing from the witnesses." Arthur was the first to testify. He told everything he had witnessed, presented the recordings. Victoria and her lawyers tried to discredit his testimony, but he stood firm. "I worked in that house for 10 years, Arthur said. "I know Mrs. Victoria very well, and I know when someone is planning something bad." Jasmine was called to testify next. She was nervous, but she answered every question honestly. She talked about growing up in the foster care home, about finding the photo, about discovering that Tyler was her brother. "Did you expect to gain anything financially from this discovery?" Victoria's lawyer asked in an accusatory tone. "No," Jasmine answered firmly. "I just wanted to know the truth about my family, about where I came from. Money was never important to me. Having my brother back is what matters." "But don't you think it's convenient that this brother happens to be a wealthy man?" "I didn't choose to be his sister," Jasmine said, her voice rising a little. "Just like I didn't choose to be separated from him as a child. I didn't seek out this situation. It found me. And yes, it's a relief to know I'm no longer alone in the world, but that has nothing to do with money." The lawyer still tried to pressure her with more questions, but Jasmine held her ground. She wasn't going to let him distort the truth. Tyler testified last. He told his side of the story, explained the search for his sister, how he discovered where Jasmine was. "Why didn't you reveal her identity immediately when she started working in your home?" the judge asked. "Because I was afraid," Tyler admitted. "Afraid she wouldn't believe me. Afraid of scaring her off and her running away. I had just found her after so many years. I didn't want to lose her again. So I tried to do it the wrong way, thinking I could find the right moment. I realize now that I should have been honest from the start." "And did your wife know about Ms. Brooks's identity?" "She did," Tyler confirmed. "She was the one who suggested the hiring. At the time, I thought she was trying to help. It was only later that I discovered her true intentions." After hearing all the testimony, the judge called a recess to evaluate the evidence. It was an agonizing 2-hour wait. Jasmine and Tyler sat on a bench outside the courtroom, not saying much, just waiting. When they were called back in, the judge had his decision. "This is a complex case with intense emotional elements," he began. "However, the facts are clear. The evidence presented, including the kinship test and the recordings, shows that Mrs. Evans acted in bad faith. She consciously manipulated the situation for personal gain, using a delicate family meeting as a tool for extortion." Victoria went very pale. "As for the allegations of an inappropriate relationship," the judge continued, "there is absolutely no evidence to support those claims. The kinship between Dr. Evans and Ms. Brooks was scientifically proven, and there is no indication of any improper behavior." Jasmine felt relief begin to spread through her chest. "Therefore, I decree the divorce between Tyler Evans and Victoria Miller Evans. As for the division of assets, considering the behavior demonstrated by Mrs. Evans and the existence of a prenuptial agreement that she herself insisted on making at the beginning of the marriage, I determine that she receive only the basic alimony established by law, without the right to claim additional properties or assets." The gavel came down and it was decided. Victoria tried to protest, but her lawyer held her back. She looked at Jasmine and Tyler with pure hatred in her eyes before leaving the room. Outside the courthouse, Jasmine finally let the tears fall, but this time they were tears of relief. "It's over," she whispered. "It's finally over." "It's over," Tyler agreed, hugging his sister. "And now we can truly begin." The following months were about rebuilding. Jasmine and Tyler worked to strengthen the bond between them. They visited places from their childhood, talked to people who had known their parents, and pieced together their family history. It was during one of these visits that they went to the cemetery where their mother was buried. It was a peaceful place on the outskirts of Chicago, with old trees and stone benches. The grave was simple but well kept. Jasmine stood looking at the headstone for a long time. Catherine Evans, loving mother. The words seemed insufficient to describe who she had been. "She would be proud of you," Tyler said softly. "Of how you survived, how you raised Maya on your own, how you became a strong woman." "I wish I could have known her," Jasmine said, her voice breaking. "I wish I could have had at least one day with her." "She did know you," Tyler pointed out, "in your first 5 years, and she loved you every day since, even from afar." Jasmine knelt down and placed the flowers she had brought on the grave, and then she saw something she hadn't noticed before, a small bronze plaque next to the main headstone, almost hidden by the grass. "To my beloved children, Tyler and Jasmine, wherever you are, my love will always be with you. I never gave up, I never forgot. I was always your mother." Jasmine covered her mouth with her hands, crying. Their mother had left that message hoping that one day they would find it together. "She knew," Jasmine said between sobs. "She knew you would find me." "She had faith." Tyler knelt beside his sister. And that faith was not in vain. They stayed there for hours, talking to the mother who was no longer there physically, but whose presence they felt in the wind, in the sun, in the love that had finally brought separated siblings back together. As their lives began to stabilize, Jasmine made an important decision. She enrolled in a night business administration course. It was something she had always wanted to do, but never had the opportunity. Tyler offered to pay, but Jasmine insisted on paying with her own money. "I need to do this on my own," she explained. "I need to prove to myself that I can." "You don't need to prove anything," Tyler argued. "But I understand, and I'm here if you need help." Studying while working and taking care of Maya was exhausting. Jasmine spent sleepless nights finishing assignments, came home late from classes, and woke up early to go to work. But she was determined. Camilla helped however she could. She took on more responsibilities at home, cooked when her mother was too tired, and even helped Jasmine study, testing her knowledge of the subjects. "I'm proud of you, Mum," Camilla said one night, finding Jasmine asleep over her books at the kitchen table. "You're the strongest person I know." Jasmine woke up at her daughter's touch and smiled wearily. "I'm doing this for the both of us," she said. "I want you to see that it's never too late to chase your dreams." "I do see it," Camilla replied. "Every day I see it." It was a difficult period, but a transformative one. Jasmine discovered she had a talent for administration. Her teachers noticed her dedication and intelligence. Before long, she was among the top students in her class. Tyler, proud of his sister, offered something unexpected. He had a small consulting firm that had been growing. He needed someone to help with administrative management. "I want you to consider working with me," he said during lunch. "Not as a favor, but because you're qualified and I trust you." Jasmine was hesitant. "People will say it's nepotism." "Let them talk," Tyler replied. "You'll prove your worth through your work. And besides, we're family. It's only natural that we work together." Jasmine thought about it for days. She talked to Camilla, asked friends for their opinions, made a list of pros and cons. In the end, she decided to accept, but she made a point of establishing clear rules. She would have to go through a trial period like any other employee. She would be evaluated based on performance, not family ties. "Deal." Tyler accepted the terms, "but I already know you're going to do great." And he was right. Jasmine stood out at work. She brought a different perspective, fresh ideas, and worked harder than anyone else in the office. Within 6 months, she had reorganized entire systems, saved the company money, and earned the respect of the other employees. "You're amazing," Tyler said proudly. "The company has never run so smoothly." "I learned from the best," Jasmine smiled. "You taught me that family means supporting each other, but also challenging each other to be better." Camilla was thriving as well. With the family's financial situation more stable, she was able to focus more on her studies. Her grades improved dramatically, and when the time came to think about college, she had several scholarship options. "I want to study psychology," Camilla announced during dinner. "I want to help people who went through what you both went through. Families torn apart, children in foster care homes. I want to make a difference." Jasmine cried with pride. Seeing her daughter turn their pain into something positive was more than she could have ever hoped for. "You're going to be wonderful at it," Tyler said, "and I'll support you every step of the way." And he kept that promise. When Camilla was accepted into one of the best universities in the region, Tyler helped with the expenses the scholarship didn't cover, but he made sure to do it the right way, as an investment in his niece's future. "One day, when you've graduated and you're working, you help another young person the same way," he said. "That's how you build a legacy, not by keeping it for yourself, but by passing it on." Camilla hugged her uncle tightly. "Thank you for everything, for finding my mother, for giving us a family, for believing in us." "Thank you both," Tyler replied, "for reminding me of what really matters in life." On their mother's birthday, 2 years after Jasmine discovered the truth about her family, Tyler had an idea. He wanted to do something in memory of Catherine, something that honored her love and helped other families. "I was thinking of creating a community center," he told Jasmine, "in the neighborhood where we grew up, a place where separated families can get support to reunite, with mediators, psychologists, lawyers who can help voluntarily." Jasmine loved the idea. Her mother would have loved this, and it could have helped her herself when she was looking for me. "Exactly," Tyler agreed. "I don't want it to be a big institution. I want it to be a welcoming space where people can talk, share stories, find support." They worked together on the project for months. They found an old building in the neighborhood that had been a school. With renovations, they transformed the space into something beautiful and functional. Rooms for private conversations, a common area, a small garden. "It looks like Grandma's house," Maya said when she saw the finished garden. Tyler had shown pictures of the house where he and Jasmine grew up, and there were indeed similarities. "That was intentional," Tyler admitted. "I wanted it to feel like home." The center's opening was on a sunny Saturday. They invited people from the neighborhood, professionals who had offered to help voluntarily, and some of the people who had worked on Jasmine and Tyler's case, including Arthur. Jasmine gave an emotional speech. "This place exists because of a mother who never gave up, who believed that love is stronger than any separation. My mother, Catherine, spent years looking for me, and even though she's not here to see it, her love created this. This space is for all the mothers and fathers who are searching, for all the children who were lost, for all the families who deserve a second chance. There wasn't a dry eye among those present. The center grew quickly. Families started showing up looking for help. Some stories had happy endings, others didn't. But having the support and resources made all the difference. One of the first success stories was of a grandmother who was looking for her grandchildren that her daughter had taken away 5 years earlier. With the help of the center's mediators, they managed to make contact and set up visits. The reunion was at the center itself, and Jasmine and Tyler were there to support. "Thank you," the grandmother said, crying as she hugged her grandchildren. "You gave me back my family." "We just helped," Jasmine replied. "You never gave up, that's what matters." Maya started volunteering at the center during school breaks. She helped with the organization, kept children company while the parents talked with the mediators, and even started learning about the family mediation process. "This confirms that psychology is the right path for me," she told Jasmine. "Seeing families reunite, there's nothing better." Life had finally found a rhythm. Jasmine and Tyler had weekly lunches where they talked about work, family, plans for the future. Maya was flourishing in college. The center was helping more and more families. But not everything was easy. There were still difficult moments. Jasmine still had dreams where she was a child again, lost and alone. Tyler still carried guilt for not having been able to protect his sister when they were young. "Some days are harder than others," Jasmine admitted in a therapy session she had started attending. "Some days I wake up and still can't believe I have a family, that I have a brother who loves me." "And that's normal," the therapist said. "You spent most of your life believing you were alone. It's going to take time for that scared little girl inside you to believe she's safe now." Jasmine worked on that. Worked on accepting love without fear that it would be taken away from her. On believing she deserved to have people who cared about her. Tyler was also in therapy, processing the loss of his mother and the years of separation from his sister. He learned that it wasn't his responsibility to have saved Jasmine when they were children, that he had done the best he could, and that now he was doing everything right. 3 years after the day Jasmine found that photo, they had a small birthday party to celebrate the family reunion. It wasn't anyone's birthday, but rather the anniversary of the day the truth came to light. 3 years, Jasmine said, raising her glass of juice. 3 years since my life changed completely, since I found out I wasn't alone. 3 years since I got my sister back, Tyler added, raising his glass too. 3 years since I had a real family again. 3 years since I gained an amazing uncle. Maya joined her glass with theirs. And since I learned that family isn't just blood, it's love, it's choice, it's effort. They toasted, all three together, connected not just by DNA but by the love they had chosen to cultivate. That night after Maya went to bed, Jasmine and Tyler stayed on the balcony, talking under the stars. "Do you think Mom would be proud?" Jasmine asked. "I know she would be," Tyler answered without hesitation. "You became exactly the person she hoped you would be. Strong, generous, loving. And the center is her legacy living through us." "I wish I could have known her," Jasmine said, not for the first time. "I wish you could have too," Tyler agreed. "But in a way, you do know her. She's in me, in the stories I tell. She's in you, in the strength you have. She's in Maya, in her kindness. Mom lives through all of us." Jasmine rested her head on her brother's shoulder, feeling safe in a way she had never experienced before. "Thank you," she whispered, "for never giving up, for finding me, for giving me back something I didn't even know I had lost." "Thank you for letting me be part of your life," Tyler replied. "You and Maya saved me just as much as I saved you." They stayed there in comfortable silence, two pieces of a puzzle that had finally found each other. The journey had been long and painful, but it had been worth every tear, every difficult moment, because in the end, love always wins, family always matters, and it's never too late to come home. The end. And you? What did you think of this story? Do you believe Jasmine made the right decisions? Comment below telling us how you felt and which part touched you the most. Your opinion is very important to us, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave your like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other emotional stories. Thank you for joining us on this journey.